Hi, thank you for joining me today. This video is in response to a question I received the other day. Let's take a look here. This person says, seems like you disagree with the different techniques of therapy. So out of curiosity, do you agree or disagree with the techniques other doctors use, especially like celebrity doctors like Dr. Phil or Dr. Ruth? Well, that's a good question about celebrity therapists. I have to admit, I haven't watched Dr. Phil in a long time. Apparently, he's still on. I see his show pop up every now and then. Dr. Ruth, oh boy, I don't even know if she's still alive. I think she used to give sex advice. If I'm not mistaken, I really can't remember. But I'll talk about Dr. Phil. Now, from what I remember of him, I think the appeal for him was that he was a straight shooter. He's just going to be blunt about what he thinks is going on, what he thinks needs to change, and that's it. He's just going to tell you what's on his mind. Now, I appreciate that. I don't like dancing around the subject, especially if something's pretty obvious that we need to address. But as far as Dr. Phil's background or his worldview or how he conceptualizes people's suffering and that, I don't know much about that. And that kind of goes back to my other video of choosing a therapist is, what is it, how do they view suffering, how do they view healing, that kind of worldview, what's their foundation that they do counseling from, and does that make sense to a person? Does it seem kind of common sense, or is it, does it really connect A to B in a good straight line, or are we taking all these, well, it's because of this, but it's also that this happened, and we're taking roundabout ways, and it's really about your unconscious, and you don't even know you're doing these things. I mean, some of this stuff just doesn't make sense. So I don't know Dr. Phil's background or the way he addresses things, but from what I remember, he just kind of told it like it is. Now that might have been 20 years ago, so I don't know what he's doing today. But of course, you have to be skeptical of celebrity therapists just because, they cater to an audience. They want the ratings. They also have a team of folks usually that's digging and doing all this research on a person, and that's not your typical therapist. So I would just caution against that. Dr. Ruth, I mean, I don't really know much about her, but I would say, you're giving sex advice to people. Again, coming from a Christian background, a Christian foundation, I believe that should be in the context of marriage. But, I don't know her background, her beliefs. Just the other day, I saw a news article. I didn't read it, but the title was something like, this college class endorses couples watching pornography together. And apparently that's what's being taught in college, and I would wholeheartedly disagree with that. And the data, the tons of research of how pornography ruins relationships, skews a person's perception and understanding of what love is, what healthy sexual relations is, intimacy. It just skews all that. And so I don't understand why now we're going to teach that people should be watching it together when there's tons of treatments out there saying you have a pornography addiction. We need to help you with that. So I don't understand that. So depending on the person's value system, they could be giving good sexual advice or leading people to encounter more problems down the road. I'll give you 2 examples. I was just looking up briefly when I talk about what is a person's background, foundation of how they do therapy, their beliefs about what it takes for a person to overcome their difficulties, view of how difficulties start. We call that kind of a theory of a theory of how we conceptualize disorders, things like that. So there's 2 I wanted to share with you that you tell me, does this make sense or what here? So one psychotherapy is humanistic therapy, and here's a brief outline of what it entails. So humanistic therapy focuses on a person's individual nature rather than categorizing groups of people with similar characteristics as having the same problem. So it's individualistic. Humanistic therapy looks at the whole person, not only from the therapist's view, but from the viewpoint of individuals observing their own behavior. Okay, this all sounds good so far. The emphasis is on a person's positive traits and behaviors, and the ability to use their personal instincts to find wisdom, growth, healing, and fulfillment within themselves. Okay, so now the emphasis is on positive traits. Okay, we should encourage, what's working well with a person, what are their strengths. We want to foster that and encourage that. But now we're saying their ability to use their personal instincts to find wisdom and growth and fulfillment. Personal instincts. Going back to my beliefs as a Christian, the heart is wicked. The heart leads us astray. I can't do things in my own strength. I fail. I mess things up. I say the wrong things. I respond in not the best ways sometimes. And so now you're going to rely on kind of my judgments and my, when I think of instincts, I think of like my just natural reaction. Well, the Bible says our natural being is depraved, is in rebellion against God, and so I don't want to use that instinct. And then going a little bit farther with the humanistic therapy, it says people with low self-esteem who are having trouble finding their purpose or reaching their true potential, who lack feelings of wholeness, who are not comfortable with themselves, or are searching for personal meaning may benefit from humanistic therapy. Okay, again, it sounds good, sounds like, yay, I'm going to have purpose, and I want to feel whole, and I want to have meaning in my life. Where is your guidance for that? Where is your definition of purpose? Where is your compass to say this is my purpose? Where are you getting that from? You talk to a mass murderer, they might say their purpose was to wipe the earth of evil people, and so they kill. To me, that's a bad purpose. Or people would say my purpose in life is just to make a lot of money, do good in life, don't cause any harm, don't hurt anybody, mind my own business. I mean, it's everybody's, thoughts on their own for this, and you could be left going astray or an empty sense of purpose if you're not on the right course. And again, my foundation would be our purpose is to know God as much as possible, love Him, and share Him with others. That's a very solid purpose there. But again, you go to one of these therapies and they might say, well, your purpose is to just be totally in touch with everything that's going on in your body and be connected and put out good vibes and positive energy. I don't know. I don't buy that. Okay, so that's humanistic therapy. Then there's a Jungian therapy, based from Carl Jung. And here's the model of this therapy. This is an in-depth analytical form of talk therapy designed to bring together the conscious and unconscious parts of the mind to help a person feel balanced and whole. Jungian therapy calls for the clients to delve into the deeper and often darker elements of their mind and look at the real self rather than the self they present to the outside world. Okay, who wouldn't want to be their real self, right? I mean, that sounds good. But now we're getting into unconscious parts of the mind, deeper, darker elements of the mind. So now, okay, unconscious. I don't even think of these thoughts. They're unconscious. They're not right there at the forefront of our mind. And so now we have to spend a lot of time diving into what you don't even think about. I don't know. If I don't think about it, then how is that really shaping my behavior? How is that really, what am I going to uncover? The darker, dive into the deeper and darker elements of the mind. Well, I'd be honest, I like that. I mean, that's, there is truth to the darker part of our minds. The Bible talks a lot about that. I just mentioned that we're wicked by nature, we're sinful, we're selfish by nature. That motivates us, that drives our behaviors. And so, yeah, there is an element of that we're working on, but a person comes in and they're struggling to effectively communicate how they feel to others. Let's say they don't communicate at all. They shut in. They don't talk about how they're feeling. Oh, we need to dive into the deep depths of your mind, unlock that unconsciousness that's really blocking you from doing that. Well, how long is that going to take? What are we going to find? Are we going to find anything? Is that really a good connecting the dots? Or do we say, you don't talk to people because you feel like you have nothing worthwhile to say? Let's practice that in session here. Let's practice the things that are on your mind. Let's take baby steps to now talk to others about what you feel. And let's get into a better habit of being more expressive. I mean, to me, that's a clear connecting the dots between the problem and a solution. Not let's take a deep dive into the innermost depths of your unconscious mind. So anyway, that's what I'm saying when it comes to how do people view the world. That is a foundational guiding force that affects our behavior, affects the way we think about things and the way we perceive situations. And if that foundation is rocky, if it is skewed, if it's not built on truth, then everything else that flows from us is not good. So going back to Dr. Phil and Dr. Ruth, what are their foundations? I have no idea. But if you're listening to the way they talk and it, kind of common sense stuff, I can jump on board with that. But let's dive into your unconscious, and I mean, I'm skeptical of that. I'd question that. Thank you for posting a question. I look forward to other questions from folks. Hope this has been helpful, and thank you very much for joining in.